wouldn't say a complete turnaround, but I have redirected my health. Without a doubt in my mind, I have redirected my health in a more positive manner, and I would love for other people to do the same. It takes some courage, and it, like for me, there was a lot of anxiety of getting back at it, wondering if I could do it. But it's not a matter if you can do it; it's just a matter of doing your best.
Welcome into another episode of For Your Health podcast, sponsored by Roane General Hospital. I'm Andrew Miller. I am your host, and my voice is almost 100% finally, folks. We've had some time off while I've tried to recover from whatever it was that I had going on, and we're very excited to be joined once again by our patient's hero in this podcast. Our first episode was CEO of Roane General Hospital, Doug Bentz. And Doug, you're back again. Thank you for taking some time. I know your time is always quite limited when it comes to free.
Yeah, but I tell you what, I really enjoyed that first podcast. Was very nervous, although I've looked forward to this second round because it was so much fun. So yeah, I'm glad to be here.
Well, we've come a long way since the first podcast. We've moved from the smaller venue into the main boardroom here.
Yes.
We've really enjoyed the opportunity to learn ourselves and figure out how to get the proper information out, not just about prescription for your health, which is obviously the main driver of what started this podcast. But as we talk throughout the last few months, we're talking about getting more into just health and wellness, generally speaking, in Roane County. But we don't want to talk about that as a CEO for you once again.
Yeah.
We talked with Vicki Withers on a podcast recently, and she had mentioned one of the great things about the program that is built here is the fact that it resembles what you started based on your own journey. And she highlighted that first podcast, and I've highlighted it. I've said it a few times with people. I said, I really didn't know what to expect when I first had you on. I knew that you had the knowledge. I knew you had the information about this program, the logistics, if you will. I was not prepared for you to bare your soul.
Yeah,
I was not prepared for you to be so, I guess you would say, brutally honest and open about not only your physical journey, but your mental journey and all the things that surround trying to become the best version of yourself, being well, being healthy.
Right.
That means a lot of different things. And I think a lot of people were not expecting that. So when people watch that, I said, you put a human side to somebody who's a CEO of a hospital. You've done a lot of different things over the years, as you mentioned in that podcast, about trying to be healthy, doing this, doing that. One of the cool things that you did find was what you happily mentioned was fat camp.
Yeah.
So you found this really intensive camp out in Arizona, and you had just gotten back from it the last time we talked. You spent round two. You went after it again. Let's talk about this place.
Okay.
Let's talk about this thing that you've done and how it has helped you continue your journey.
Well, I'll be happy to talk about it because to me, that program was a game changer for me. So I'd love to take a deeper dive into that. But just note as it relates to sort of our health journey, because I think that's really a really good term because it's our health. Everybody's has their own individual health and wellness journey. I think it starts out by establishing that I'm tired of being tired or I've got a goal that I want to get out there. And, how you get to that goal or the journey to get to that goal is going to be a little bit different from everyone. I think there's a lot of things, a lot of information, a lot of programs, a lot of services, and a lot of support that the Prescription for Your Health program does for most individuals.
Yeah.
But it probably is not everything for everybody. But it certainly is a lot of information, and we can certainly get things started here. But for me, it had to be a little bit more, and because I went through the process when I first signed up for Prescription for Your Health, and I worked through it a little bit, but I didn't necessarily find that motivation. I didn't necessarily change my behaviors that would make a lasting impact on my health and wellness and well-being, I should say. Because it's, if I'm healthier, I'm happier, I've got more energy. There's just so many good things. But it was that Google search that I had that I put in fitness boot camp. And I just wanted to see what came up. I wanted to challenge myself. Yeah. And I felt like I needed to jump in the deep end and either sink or swim. And that was for my journey and the way I'm wired of being a former athlete, I felt that was the best thing for me. And so I put myself in that situation a year and a half ago when I first went. And at that time, like I said during our first podcast, it was a game changer for me. And it really provided me a great head start on my fitness journey. It provided me a wealth of information, a lot of it which is duplicated and reinforced through Vicky's nutrition discussions and classes, setting goals that Kim works, and just a lot of the fitness side, the weightlifting and the classes that are done in the fitness center. So, all of those things it was just good timing for me. So, so I just got back. I just did another 2 weeks that I went out to Phoenix, Arizona, which is beautiful place to go. It's out in the middle of the desert. And it was just a great experience. It was 2 weeks. I ended up losing about 10 pounds of fat. I got to the point where I was running. Here I am, a 55-year-old, hit double nickel earlier this year, and I was.
Did you say double nickel?
Double nickel. I've
not heard it said that way.
Yeah, and I got to the point that I was actually running. And I think I've run for 20 years, 15 years, and that was a great feeling. But again, just we can get into, if you want to talk about some of the specifics, we certainly can. But again, I just want to emphasize it was just a game changer for me, though.
When you talk about it being kind of a boot camp style thing, it's only a 2-week program. So obviously part of it is to work you out. And as you said, you worked out hard and you did those things. But is there a side of that it's only 2 weeks, so there's got to be a lot of information given to you, and you've got to take a lot more away from it to take back with you to instill it now in your daily life?
Yeah, I mean, and part of me thought that I was going to go and that would be my fix. All that was just a kickstart. Yeah. And it provided a new start, a new beginning, and a new direction, armed with a lot more information, already sort of getting in shape and then continuing your journey. So to me, it really provided the structure that I think I needed, and again, that jump start. They said you can develop habits or change habits, but it's going to take 3 to 4 weeks to do it. So I tried to put myself into that situation and walk away changing some habits. A little bit about the program itself. It is a fitness camp, right? It is not a spa, and they say that from day one. So, a typical day, you wake up at 5:30. They pick you up about 5:45 in a van. And let me back up here. It's kind of a live-in type situation. Yeah. Have you ever seen The Biggest Loser?
Yes.
I'm telling you.
I'm a huge fan of that.
It is modeled very similar to how that program worked. But we got up early. We would go with a group of, anywhere from 12 to 15, 16 people, like-minded people from all across the country, all different shapes, sizes, ages. And we usually started the day out with a 3 to 4 mile hike in the desert. So it was just beautiful. You burn 800 calories, and by 8 o'clock, you hit all your fitness goals on your Apple Watch, and your day just gets started.
And at that point, you're already feeling accomplished.
Oh,
that start and that feeling of accomplishment to begin with.
Oh, that was the best part of the camp by far, was your morning hikes and getting out in the morning, starting your day, sometimes watching the sunrise, and just getting in that workout and doing it again with like-minded people. So it's a great way to start the day. You come back, and they have a chef or someone to prepare your meal. So you're eating a very high nutrient dense meal plan, right? Yeah. They're gonna look at your macros. They're really good at measuring out your macros of your fats and carbs and your proteins. So we had a wonderful breakfast, and then we would go to a gym, and then we would work out from like 9 to 11:30 or 9 to 12. And sometimes you would go through a circuit training class. You could go through some type of floor exercise where you're doing a lot of planks and you're doing sit-ups and you're doing different things along those lines. And then you go and have a group lunch. Again, very nutritious. And then there's usually an hour and a half of instruction time after that. Because, again, it's just not working out. You really, when you leave there, you want to be armed with the knowledge of how am I going to do this going forward? How am I either going to continue to lose weight, if that's your goal, to get stronger, if that's your goal, or just to be in shape? And so there's a lot of education. A lot of it's focused on nutrition. Yeah. And eating the right way. And so we do that for an hour and a half, and then you're back to the gym, and you're working out for another 2.5 to 3 hours. Then around 5:30, you're back, you have dinner. And after that, they send you you basically go back to your room, and I was in bed by around 8:30 every day. And then you start over again the next morning. Not that you wouldn't have been
in bed anyway after that much working out.
Oh yeah. Oh wow. It's like that bed couldn't come soon enough. It couldn't come soon enough. So,
well, let me ask you about just being there, as you mentioned, with a lot of different people from different parts of the globe here, different parts of the nation, at least. Mm-hmm. Was there any time to develop any sort of, like, I don't want to mean like relationships as far as like friendships or like that, but what somebody once said, like single serving friends, where you know this is only going to be a 2-week deal, but you look beside somebody who's planking right beside you.
Yes.
And you're going through this together, even though it's only 2 weeks. What was that like to have that interaction with those people who are, as you mentioned, very similarly focused?
It means everything. It really does, because that's a long day that I described to you. You know, it is, and you do it every day. Yeah. But you do get in a routine. It sounds scary at first, but your body and your mind adjust to it. But I think in large part is because you're with your teammates. And I look at it as sort of like almost playing basketball or your team sport. These are your teammates. And that's how you feel, because you're going through all of this together. You're dealing with the adversity, and you're with your group of teammates. And I find, like you said, motivation from their effort, from their stories. And it's amazing, some of the people that, you know, those individual journeys, and you really get motivation out of it. And you stop feeling sorry for yourself. And again, you're motivated to make a difference. And carrying over, I think the same thing holds true here. You know, that was a big emphasis at camp. But like for here, you know, we've got an afternoon group. It's the girls group. I don't know what we're going to call them, but it's a group of ladies that I work out with around 12:30 on a lot of days, and I'm telling you, they kicked my butt. But it's because of that camaraderie that I think keeps us all coming back.
Yeah.
And you know, we tease each other, give each other a hard time. We laugh, but we work hard together. And then after the session, we're slapping fives. So that's a lot different, and it's a lot easier, I think, and it's a lot more enjoyable when you're doing that with other people. So that's a good point that you brought up, but I think that's a big difference. It's hard to do it by yourself. You know, that's why we have this program here, is for people to hold your hand, to motivate you, to encourage you, to get to pick you up when you're down, and provide that guidance, because it's hard to do it on your own.
Yeah. You know, I think about that, and I think, again, when I was speaking with Vicki Withers on a previous podcast, and she got a little emotional when talking about you. It was kind of interesting. She was saying, you know, seeing that first podcast and seeing you bare your soul, she's like, I don't know of another administrator at a different place who knows everybody who works in his hospital, who goes and greets people every day in his hospital, who really truly cares and interacts with people who work here and knows them and understands many of their issues day to day, because people are all in this, thing together. I don't know if it's because it's how you're wired or if it's something you've developed over a time span, but does it come also, I don't know, maybe you can't even analyze this. Does it come from your own struggles to get to where you're trying to get to? Because it does seem to reflect in everything that this Prescription for Your Health program is about. It does seem to reflect your own battle to get to where you need to be, and being able to understand that you have to even reach out for others to help. It can't just be done alone.
Yeah, I do. I think there are components of the program that have come from my own personal sort of experiences and journey, and feeling that what needs, the gaps in the areas that I needed help on, if it's true for me, it might be true for others. And I guess that was kind of a starting point for some things. And then over time, the program, I think, has evolved. But I think fundamentally, I think there was some overlap in terms of maybe some of my own personal experiences and journey to how we got the program started. But it's evolved, and it's gotten stronger. It's gotten more comprehensive, and everybody has played a part in that evolvement, and we just need to continue to evolve.
Yeah.
We need to, probably what motivates me more than anything now is hearing the stories of, this person lost 40 pounds, or Vicki was sharing with me that she had a patient that had lost 70 pounds.
Yeah.
And I was shocked. I'm like, was it so-and-so? And she's like, no, this is a different person. I'm like, well, you've never told me about that. There's just so many people that have had those type of stories here. So yeah, that's very, very gratifying, and it gets me excited. And I think I said this on my first one, and if I didn't, I truly mean it, is, I would love for my tenure here at Roane General in Roane County to be this program rather than the expansion, or rather, other things that have occurred at the hospital. I really want this program to truly make a difference, because I think being healthier and happier is such a it's a difficult goal, and it's something that I think our community needs. It needs some hope. It needs some direction, some motivation, and I think at the end of it is folks are going to be healthier and happier. We're going to have a stronger community. So
that's really impressive to hear that that's what you want. As you said, your tenure, your legacy, whatever you want to call it, you would prefer that it be this program versus one of the craziest and most awesome capital expansion projects we've seen. Obviously, we're sitting in part of this and the expansion and the way it came together and how beautiful it is. Not just that, but all the services that you guys have added to our local facility here that were not providable years and years and years ago, that you've brought things in that people can less drive away, and they can get a lot more services here locally, which is nice. But the number one goal is this program, and I think it's a good reason that you say that, because this is changing people's lives for life.
Yes.
If they can stay in this program. And again, nothing's perfect. Nobody's perfect. The goal is to not stumble and quit. You're going to stumble. There's going to be times things are going to happen. Life is life.
It sure is.
But if you can continue to stay the course, and you can continue to rely on others instead of just trying to do this alone by yourself. And I think that's why the team is so motivated behind you, as they're watching you do it. You're patient zero. You're the first one to get this thing going, and you found ways to motivate yourself when you need it. Whether it's a crazy boot camp for 2 weeks or if it's anything else. Now, you do this boot camp. You've done it twice now for 2 weeks at a time.
Yeah.
Not just with the prescription for your health program, but you personally, what have you been able to take back from that into your daily life here? Because obviously you can't you can't do 5 hours worth of workouts now. I mean, that's just not a possible thing when you got a lot of work to do.
Right.
So what have you been able to bring back from Arizona those 2 times that you've been that has really helped keep you on that focus path?
That's a great question, because if I didn't take anything back, I would have simply circled back or resulted back into my old form and fashion and behaviors. So there are a couple of really key takeaways that I think about every day, and that some of it's becoming second nature now. Number one is drinking water or sugar-free electrolytes. It is so important to stay hydrated for your health, so you don't get sore, for example, when you're in the gym. Staying hydrated is, I think I probably walked around dehydrated for the last 30 years. So that's one big thing is drinking a lot of water. Staying away from things like, I wasn't going to go from one extreme to the other, but I wanted to just figure out how I can live my life smarter in a more healthier way. And meaning, let's not expend all this effort, and you can continue to enjoy certain things and not have to turn it around, but maybe we can accomplish a lot by focusing on 3 to 4 things or 3 to 4 behaviors. So like I mentioned, I think my hydration was one. And then I stopped drinking soda. Now, still, if I go out to eat, I'll get a diet soda. But other than that, I don't really drink soda. I don't drink orange juice. I don't drink my milk. I'll be honest, I just drink water.
No longer have a mini fridge in your office full of
no, none of that. The other thing too, at least for me, again, everybody's journey is different, is nutrition, right? So that was probably my biggest weakness, was just my meal plans. I'm single. So I lived a lot off of fast food coming home. I stopped off wow. I can't even think about everything I've ordered at McDonald's or at Taco Bell or at Wendy's. I wouldn't even think about that now, but that was my routine. And if I didn't go there, I would order from Grubhub or Uber Eats, and having that highly, lots of sodium, a lot of the food at restaurants are not healthy.
Yeah.
They you might think that they're healthy, but they're really not. So the nutrition part of it is that I ended up having contacted. There was someone who did meal prep. So I end up ordering 6 to 8 meals a week. They're delivered, or I have someone that picks them up, and I meet them on Mondays, and that's my meals for the week. And it's relatively cheaply priced. I'd probably pay less for the freshly unprocessed meals as I did through fast food and Grubhub. So I've saved money. I'm eating healthier. I'm eating better. For me, I also snacked a lot. Yeah. Especially at night. So I don't know. I don't necessarily recommend this, but I just cleaned out my pantry. There's nothing in my pantry other than protein powder and some things like that, because I just sort of took away my ability to snack. So I don't snack anymore. And I've got some protein bars that I might snack on or something like that. So that was another big change in terms of my takeaways was just my diet. And the way I did it was, again, I tried to work smarter, tried to eliminate the things and just to where there wasn't an option. And then I brought in healthier, not processed foods that I could eat on a day-to-day basis. And again, I feel better. And then probably the third biggest takeaway is that I'm not someone wants to get on the treadmill and just run or walk. It's just not me. It's just not me.
I feel like a mouse on a wheel.
Yeah. And for me, I was more comfortable focusing on lifting weights and doing it in a fashion where I can get my heart rate up while I'm lifting, so I can get some cardio in, but I'm also focusing on my resistance training or weights. And that's really one important thing too. Is I don't think at least what I've been told, and also what I have followed up and done a lot of research on, because I'm into this health and fitness side of things, is the importance, especially when you're over 50 years old, the importance of doing resistance training and weight training.
Yes.
To be able to live the next 20, 30 years, maybe more, hopefully, of my life with a quality of life, right? Being able to move, being able to be agile, being flexible, and that is so important, because what we have learned and what we have seen, because I'm paying attention, is that you could be 40 years old, but you could have a 60 to 70-year-old body, and you could be a 70-year-old and you can have a 40-year-old body. And movement. So there are huge differences in terms of that. And over 50, it's really important to do resistance training or weight training, because you want to build lean mass or lean muscle mass, and you also want to increase your bone density. And that's the best way to do it. It can eliminate falls when you get older. You can be more agile. You can play with your grandkids. You can get up and down off the ground.
Yeah.
Just being able to get up and down off the ground when you hit over 50, a lot of people struggle with that. So that was a really big thing, that if I want to have a quality of life, going forward in the last third of my life or whatever, let's just say, that being stronger, having more lean mass or lean muscle mass will allow me to lead a healthier, more fulfilled life.
You'll be able to do a lot of the things that you want to continue to be able to do.
Yes.
Recreationally. I think
Yes.
I think oftentimes, just personally, about my own father, who has, for his entire life that I've known him, done some work. He's done some weight training always. He's always had these little barbell or dumbbells. He's always done something. He's always walked. He's always run. He's a golf nut.
Yeah.
And he is now into his late 70s, and he still is a golf nut.
See, I would have never thought your dad was in his late 70s.
He is.
But that's the perfect reason why, is because of the way he moves.
Yeah.
I would have never thought that. But he lifted weights. He exercised most of his life,
Yes.
right?
Yeah, he's been relatively consistent with most of the things. Now, the diet we could pick apart. We could certainly do that because he's definitely a snacker of the McDonald's and Wendy's and stuff like that. But again, it is about quality of life, and I can't imagine what it would be like had he not taken those steps early on, because he loves to golf.
Yeah.
That is his thing, and so whatever your thing is, whatever the motivation is to be able to continue to stay that way, there's no better time than now to start doing that. And I was listening to you talk about some of the things you took away from the boot camp this time coming back, which was hydration, which was taking away the opportunities that you had to grab the bad stuff, the bad snacks, meal prep. You sound a lot like a lot of people who are trying to figure this out too, or are not sure how to figure it out. So what you're doing has, again, reflected in this program. Go talk to Vicki Withers about your nutrition, about what you need to have, about what needs to be in your house. What are your stipulations? What is your work schedule like?
Yeah.
What is your life like? And let's tailor how you do this. If you can't afford to buy the meal prep meals, well, you can still meal prep. You just have to be accountable and consistent with it as best you possibly can. If you're looking for other other things that you can do, go talk to Kim Mertz. She can coach you on things that you can do to help improve your opportunities to stay healthy. Go talk with Kyle. Go talk with these people. This is a direct reflection of what you've done and what you've seen in that boot camp. This program is almost a direct reflection, I think.
There are a lot of similarities between the program in Arizona to what we're doing. And I've taken some of the information in some of the program there and brought it here. One of the things we talked about, my experiences at camp, quickly share with you the very first day, and this is what we're really into too, is testing and data.
Yes.
Because we want to look at the progress over time. And it's not always about losing weight. It could be about adding lean muscle. It could be just getting in shape, feeling better. But having that data and the testing was really important. So when we first got to camp, we ended up going through a series of tests. They sort of took your weight, which was really easy. And then they did a dunk tank where you had to go underwater to measure your body fat. And supposedly that's the gold standard of measuring your body fat.
Not a lot of people have a big dunk tank, but
No, we don't have a dunk tank. We have the body composition scanner, which is good. It's not quite as good as that, but we can't have people jumping in a dunk tank all day long either. So, but it was a real accurate measure. They did a VO2 max, which sort of looks at your maximum heart rate and where you want to then adjust when you're working out to it, whether it's a fat burning zone or a cardio zone and some different levels like that. And so they took a lot of that information and then every week we would get it retested. And I forgot, let me back up here. One of the tests that they did there that we actually brought here was the resting metabolic rate, or your RMR. And I think you did a podcast on that.
Yes. Yeah. We were talking about all of those different things with Kyle and talking about how they're able to do those here.
Yeah. That resting metabolic rate is it's really interesting because if you are interested and your focus is to lose weight, it is true, basically calories in and calories out, in the difference. And that's whether you'll gain weight or lose weight. And it's not always true all the time, but generally it is. So like for me, I'm blessed. I'm a bigger guy, so it's expected that I would probably have a higher resting metabolic rate. But actually, I think because of genetics, that mine's a little higher than what they expected. So I burned 3,100 calories at rest per day. Meaning if I don't do anything, I can eat 3,100 calories and not gain any weight.
Yeah.
So whereas someone like Kim, who's much smaller, I don't know what hers is, but it may be 1,600. Yeah. So like her food, like her caloric burn, it might be half of what mine is. So you combine that versus how many calories you might burn on your in working out or walking. You don't have to work out. Just walking is an incredible way of exercising, probably the best way to exercise. And you can look at that as a calculation, and that could be your weight. That could be your weight loss plan.
Yeah.
By having more information, having those tools to better manage it.
When I was speaking of that with Vicki Withers, when we were talking about the plate method, and I was talking about she's good at teaching you not only what to eat, but how much of it to eat, and kind of shocking people into what they're actually putting in their bodies as far as calories are concerned. And you talk about that resting metabolic rate. Data is so important. It becomes a numbers game when you're talking about that. And that could be kind of fun for people, honestly.
Yeah.
If they're trying to hit numbers, instead of hitting a number on a scale so much, like daily and stuff like that, how about you try to hit these numbers with, okay, if I'm trying to be in a caloric deficit and my resting metabolic rate is, as you said, 3,100, well, you need 3,500 calories burned to knock off a pound of fat, right? So now you're talking about, okay, I need to know what I'm eating. I need to know exactly how much of that I'm eating. And that numbers game, you're just trying to hit. It's almost like a game. Sometimes you're trying to hit these games, these goals. And that can be a fun thing for people if they're trying to figure out how to eat properly.
Yes, it is. And then it becomes, it doesn't become as much work because you can sort of begin to eyeball things. You can learn, this type of protein or this type of meat has so much protein in it, and with a vegetable, and you kind of get an idea of those macros, your proteins and your carbs and your fats. One of the things that I think is, in general, that we tend not to eat enough protein.
Yes.
As just in general, myself and I think most folks, compared to what they sort of recommend in terms of, number one, protein's going to fill you up. So when you eat your protein, you're not going to be as hungry to eat as much of the sugars and the carbs after the fact. So That it's really important. That's why you hear a lot about getting your protein. So it really is. It's important for weight loss. It's also certainly important for gaining lean mass and gaining muscle. So protein's probably something that we don't eat enough of in general, and that is something that we all can work on, and eating healthy proteins. Yeah.
There are supplements as well, but supplements are supplements for a reason. They're not supposed to be the thing that you're ingesting all the time. So you need that real food.
Yep.
You need that chicken. You need that salmon. You need that tuna. You need the real proteins to get that stuff out. We're getting into the weeds here. I want to talk about coming up for you now. You've done 2 trips now out to Arizona. For whatever reason, the second one is kind of a reset or a restart or whatever it is to keep you motivated.
Yeah.
What is next for you as far as your health journey continues? Is it just right now trying to maintain what you're doing? Do you see anything changing in the future for you, or are you just trying to take it day by day?
Well, in terms of camp, like for me, I maybe it's in a sick way because a lot of my friends think I am sick. It's like, why would you want to do that? I can understand why you went there, but why would you want to go back?
Listen, I ran across the country. I'm right there with you. You got to be a little crazy. You got to be a little bit nuts.
Yeah. So, but I do want to go back, and so I'll probably try to do this like once a year. So that's going to be something that'll hopefully be part of my near and distant future. That I'll have a place to go to. And honestly, I'm able to get away from work for 2 weeks. You can't stress over anything at work or at home because it's crazy because you're always living in the moment. You're trying to survive the moment.
Yeah.
So you don't have time to really think about anything else. But in terms of what's next for me, I really want to continue to build lean mass. I'm starting to see my body change in terms of from a lifting perspective, and that's really motivating to me. I enjoy Cheryl's Tabata classes. I really like the group of ladies that kick my butt on most days, but we give each other a hard time. So I'd like to continue that.
Well, you mentioned the camaraderie of that too.
Yeah.
Just like the boot camp. It's good to be with other people.
It is.
Who want to help out.
Could anybody say I want to do this by myself? I'm not sure how they could. It'd be really hard.
I couldn't.
Well, I mean, you kind of did, but you had your mom there at least, when you did your run across the country.
Whenever I needed a butt kicking, she was there to provide the butt kicking.
Yeah, and she also provided the support and all of that. And then just continuing to learn, I spend a lot of time on YouTube just listening to fitness podcasters, nutritionists, things like that, trying to learn. I want to just continue to, my big goal is to be able to share some of this knowledge, share this program, encourage, motivate, whatever, for other people to experience what I've experienced in terms of I wouldn't say a complete turnaround, but I have redirected my health without a doubt in my mind. I have redirected my health in a more positive manner, and I would love for other people to do the same. It takes some courage.
Yeah.
And like for me, there was a lot of anxiety of getting back at it, wondering if I could do it. But it's not a matter if you can do it. It's just a matter of doing your best, doing your best, giving a good effort. And I can guarantee you'll walk away feeling better about yourself. You're going to walk away with more energy. So I just like for other people to experience that. I think would be my biggest goal, is to be able to take our population, take our community, and begin to change the culture of what we think about health and wellness. And I know we're sort of getting into some tunnel things, but when I talk about culture, I really think that is fundamentally the issue that we have in West Virginia. It's culture. It's not knowledge necessarily. We are providing some knowledge, but it has to be culture, meaning it is part of our culture. It's part of our day-to-day routine to exercise, to hike, to walk, not take the simple, easy things. Walk down the road instead of getting in the car. you know, eating healthier. You know, out west when I was in the Phoenix area, and again, the population there is more affluent, and so there are some of those socioeconomic things that they certainly have a lot of advantages on, but they don't have the chronic health conditions, nor do they have the obesity. That community is it's like the average life of someone who lives in the Phoenix, Scottsdale area is like 12 years longer than than someone living in West Virginia. And some of that has to relate to healthcare services and some things like that, but almost 90% of that is culture. And it's our behaviors. So it's exercising, it's eating healthier, getting away from processed foods as much as possible. There's not McDonald's. I think I saw one McDonald's. I was on the road a lot there, going to different places. They just don't have. They don't culturally. They don't use fast food. They're out exercising. So to me, if we can start changing our culture around here in our community in West Virginia, that's going to be the key, I think, to make the difference.
I think not only to grab some of the people who are a little older around here and set in their ways, to change those ways, that's part of it. Getting the 30-somethings, the 40-somethings involved, getting the youngsters involved in changing the culture of what we do in Roane County, how we do things in Roane County is going to be massively important. And this is, as you said, not something that's going to be an overnight change. This is something that you guys are committed to for the long haul. It's a benevolent agenda, and I think it's going to work because I see people who I never would have thought I could have ever seen walking into the gym. Sometimes I'm like, okay, they're a part of the program. They're a part of this. They're trying to get themselves better. And all it takes is that cultural shift with people saying, well, this is how we're doing things now. This is come do this. Let's get more active. Let's do this. I want to ask you before I let you go to put back on your CEO hat. This is obviously a huge deal in Roane County. It's a big program. It's something that you're passionate about. Your personal journey is something you're passionate about. And when people are passionate about doing good things and changing themselves for the better, they want to share the news.
Yeah.
Have you had any opportunities in your professional side to speak with other administrators in other hospitals, other communities? Has there been that opportunity yet, or is it something that maybe in the future you're looking forward to trying to talk with them?
It's a great question. I'll be honest, I in terms of sharing the information with my peers, to some extent, we have. But honestly, a lot with my peers, and what we still are in a way is that we're still a sick care system. Hospitals are sick care systems. These healthcare systems, I think it's inappropriate to call them healthcare or health. Certainly, be careful using the term health, because hospitals in general don't focus on health. They focus on reactive medicine. They're going to treat your disease, cure your disease, treat your injury, fix your injury. But we don't teach people how to live healthier, long-lasting lives. That's not part of what we do. So that's something that I think maybe on the national level, Secretary Kennedy is starting to talk about health as the lead person with the Department of Health and Human Services. And he's talking about things that preservatives and additives that are put in our foods and our processed foods. He's talking about the lack of exercise and culturally that we have in our country. On the state side, Governor Morrissey has recently issued some efforts, although himself needs to hopefully continue to participate in them. But
he better keep that Mountaineer Mile going.
He better keep that Mountaineer Mile going. But you know what? We're talking about it now.
Yes.
And for the longest time, we didn't. I would love to see the school systems whether they're locally, whether in the state or anywhere in the country, to sort of focus at that level, to start teaching kids in our youth about nutrition and about health. And it's not, remember that when we went to class, we learned our health class, it wasn't really focusing on our health. It was just,
not really.
It was just terms, remember what this means. It's like, why didn't they teach us how to eat healthier,
Yes.
or what things are bad for us? And, that, so if you think about it, if you step away from how we've always done things and you look at it in a different perspective, and hopefully where you're not tunnel vision, and hopefully where you don't have all these preconceived influences and ideas, that how can we get healthier as a community, as a state, as a country? And we've got to do things differently. And this is our attempt of doing things differently locally, but I think so much more needs to be done, especially I think in the area of nutrition and the quality of the foods, especially the quality of the foods that we're feeding our kids.
Yeah.
I mean, they're getting, if you think about the local kids, so they get breakfast and lunch at the local schools. Yeah. So if you think they're going to school 200 days out of the year, getting 2 meals a day, that's 400 meals. That's almost half the meals that they're going to have all year round.
From ages up to like 5 up to 18, 13 years of their adolescent lives.
So we've got to focus on what we're putting in our kids' bodies and also what we're teaching them as it relates to health and nutrition. So it's a lot easier to teach that new dog new tricks or that puppy than it is someone like us, although we're still trying, right? I see you working out in the gym. I see you making a commitment, and you're thinking about your health as well. But I really think that future has got to start with our children, and we've got to maybe change the way of how we've done things for the last 20, 30, 40, 50 years.
And I hear you say that stuff, and that's a very daunting thought, and it's very overwhelming to think about, but that's what we talked about when we started this whole podcast for your program. It's a very daunting task to try to change the culture in a rural, small West Virginia community. Mm-hmm. That doesn't mean you can't do it. That doesn't mean you don't try. And I hope, as the CEO, I hope that this program continues to rise, continues to be great. My ultimate thought and my ultimate hope would be that as the conversations begin to take place on a state and national level, that somebody recognizes this program and it becomes like a pilot for other, be it hospital systems or other organizations to mirror or try to duplicate or modify to their own. But I really think that this is such a revolutionary program because as a hospital, you're cutting off your nose just by your face. You're trying to get people healthy before you have to come see them for the sick care.
Yes.
I really hope that as the years go by, that this becomes a pilot program for other people to do the same thing, because I think it is such a wonderful tool to have. And I really hope that it continues to be very successful. We can't wait to talk to more people who have been in the program and talk about some of these really great success stories. Yeah. You being one of them, Doug.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, there's some bigger success stories than me out there, but I can tell you the success that I have seen has been a game changer in my life. I'm a different person because I'm healthier. Yeah. I'm happier because I'm healthier. So, yeah.
Tell you what, guys. He's not just the CEO. He's patient zero here. Doug Bentz, as always, we appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Thank you.